The helicopter you see in the middle of the screen is basically saving my life. These guys flew in and plucked me off the side of a mountain and took me to hospital. Thank God for these guys. The story of this is, it's difficult to say because it proves how much of an idiot I am. I basically work full-time in an office and only get out prospecting whenever I can. So the week leading up to this trip to the Stirling Ranges in the south of WA in February of 2020 was a really stressful week, and had been doing a lot of meetings, and I'd been hitting the coffee hard and not drinking enough water. And basically I was becoming, every day as I progressed towards my weekend trip, I was getting more and more dehydrated. I started the walk up the side of the hill with my wife and some friends. We got about 3/4 of the way up. It was a very narrow track, and you can see that the slope is very steep, and a bushfire had recently been through the Stirling Ranges, and the part we were walking through had all been burnt out, but just above us was the original veg that hadn't been burnt, and that's the part we were aiming for. As we got to the about the 3/4 mark, my head started to spin, and I sat down for a second, and within, I don't know, 5 seconds, I basically passed out. My wife tried to give me water and everything else, but didn't really make much difference, and I kept coming in and out of consciousness. Luckily, a passerby came past who had a Telstra-enabled phone. Everybody else standing around me was not on Telstra. They were on Vodafone, Optus, or anything else. It did not work. None of these phones could get a signal, not even an emergency signal. Everything just said no service. The Telstra phone had a couple of bars signal. This guy phones in 000. Cut a long story short, ambulance cars turn up, the police turn up. As you can see from the photo, we're quite up the hill, and I can remember lying on the hill there, looking down onto that road way down on the far side of the other hill, and seeing the police and ambulance vehicles racing along. I really felt like a complete dork lying there. I really wanted to get up and walk down, but I just could not stand up because my knees had collapsed and I'd fall down again. I was actually worried I was going to fall down and roll down the hill through these broken, burnt out sticks, which is snapping like matchsticks. The paramedic that came up the hill reckoned that I had to be helivaced out of the system, and so within a short period of time, I don't know how long because I kept passing in and out of consciousness, the helicopter turned up and pulled me off the hill and took me to Albany Hospital, where I spent 2 nights being basically rehydrated again, intravenously and everything else. Thank God for the doctors. Thank God for those helicopter guys. You guys are tops. But what it made me think about when I got back home was, what happens if the situation happens somewhere else and I'm by myself and there's no one else to call on to help? What's the plan? So I did one of 2 things. Well, I did 2 things actually. One, I threw my stupid Optus SIM card away and got a Telstra SIM card. Yes, they cost more money, but it works in a hell of a lot more places than Optus does. And so the next thing I went and did was bought a PLB, this little beastie. PLB stands for a personal locator beacon. Everyone seems to know what an EPIRB is. You see them like the yachts and the boats that go out to sea, and they have this thing attached to the boat, and it presses the button, and a short time later a helicopter or a rescue boat turns up and saves them. Well, one of these things is designed for the land, it's not designed for the sea. So I'll show you what it is. It's a very simple little device. It comes in this neat little package. And I did a lot of research into these things. And this is the little beastie. Nice and small. It's got a battery that lasts for 7 years. It is brain dead to operate. You just press the button and let go, and the antenna pops out. You stand it up, turn it round, and press the big red button. And that's it. A beacon is now transmitted to the satellite and picked up by AMSA, I think as you pronounce it, AMSA, Australian Maritime Safety Association in Canberra. This thing transmits your GPS coordinates, and within, as soon as possible, you'll have someone visiting this location. Either be it the cops turning up, driving through the bush to this location, or it's a helicopter thumping away just over your head. So the idea being that if you get injured, this thing is on you all the time. You pull it out, press the button, and do it. Some of the more advanced ones have built-in ability to chat to people, send text messages. This is a simple one. I can't talk to anyone, but I'll only use this one in an emergency. It's a great little unit. Thank God I haven't had to use it yet, but I strongly recommend you guys get something like this. It could save your life. This is and I'll fold it up. It's very simple. Clips back together. Goes into this little yellow case. It's got a carabiner which clips to my harness, and it stays with me all the time. So when I'm out there detecting, this thing is basically sitting there with me all the time. Some of the cheaper brands of these machines, not of the GMEs but others, have been known to cause problems with metal detectors, and sometimes metal detectors have been known to trigger some of these devices off. So the next minute you know there's a helicopter thumping away above your head and you didn't even press the button. So the best I could find was this one for its price. It's not very expensive. It's about $300 and something, but I know that is expensive for a number of people. But I can just imagine lying in the bush somewhere for hours on end thinking, God, I wish I'd spent that $300. If only someone would come and find me. And so I'll leave a link to this device down the bottom so you can check it out. Buy it if you wish. But it's a great little unit. 7 years, talks to the GPS, to the satellite, made by GME, very reputable brand. So I think that's a great investment that you can make in your gold prospecting safety. So yeah, I guess there's two things I wanted to cover in this video. Just putting the machine away. One, stay hydrated. Don't be an idiot like me. Stay hydrated. Before you go out in the bush, I'm talking like 10 minutes beforehand, but the week leading up to your trip, drink as much water as you can. Get every cell in your body hydrated. If you're an office worker, it's even more important to get hydrated, because it's so easy for us to just sit there with a cup of coffee. And coffees don't hydrate you. They actually dehydrate you slowly. I think they have like a minus value in the hydration scheme. When you get out there, make sure you take plenty of water with you. A Camelback's a good thing. I could leave a link to a Camelback that I have as well. That's a great investment. It's easy to have. It's just got a pipe that hangs down the side. You pick it up, you have a drink, and you continue on. Rather than stop and then have to take the backpack off and find where the water bottle is and have a sip and then put it all back on again and all that stuffing about. So therefore, we just say, I'll give it another 5 or 10 minutes and then we'll stop. Just keep sipping on the water as you go. Keep yourself hydrated. Simple video I wanted to put up. It's important to stay safe out there, guys. Super, super, super important to stay safe. Too many prospectors go out in the bush and we don't hear from them again. And it could be things like dehydration, could be snake bites, it could be half a dozen other things. But if the person is conscious for a while or coming in and out of, then one of these little beasties could very well save your life. Stay hydrated, stay safe, get yourself a decent phone with a decent signal on it, and get yourself a personal locator beacon. And stay safe, guys.